organizing this DSC South Asian Literature Festival in London the next week. So please tell me something about it. How are you going to go about it, and what are your aims and missions?
This is the second DSC South Asian Literature Festival. We started last year. Aim is really, in short, to celebrate South Asian culture, but through the eyes of literature. One can tell so much about the land, the region, the people of that area from the books and the writing, whether it's fictional writing, whether it's non-fiction, historical writing, or travel writing, or whether it's journalism. So much can be said about that area from the writing. And surprisingly, London is such a huge hub for South Asian culture. There are massive music festivals and dance festivals and arts festivals. But there hasn't really been a literary festival of this kind on this scale that goes across the capital and across the country. So with that in mind, we started this festival last year. There's two of us, myself and my publishing colleague, John Slack. And the two of us have worked very hard for the last 3 years in fostering relationships with organizations, with partners, with venues, with publishers, of course, authors and poets. And we're very, very proud that this year we are presenting a listing of 54 plus events, currently 54 confirmed events, and probably another few more will come up in the next couple of weeks, with about 80 authors, poets, writers, broadcasters. And very surprisingly, normally in literary festivals you have more sort of men than women that tend to be there, but we've got more women than men in our literary festival, which is great to see. So many South Asian women are actually in this field, whether they are writers, whether they are poets, or they're broadcasters, and we've managed to bring them into our festival. One of the other aims of the festival is that it's to provide a platform for new writers who wouldn't normally get an opportunity to present their work or raise their profile. So we are keeping a balance of having established authors and big named authors, but at the same time having really encouraging the new writers, those who perhaps are not yet published, or those who published one book and are desperately trying to get their book out there and raise the profile of their work. And so ours is a festival that they can take part.
What are the highlights of the festival, and what is it that people can expect?
Got quite a few highlights. Our opening weekend itself is amazing. Our opening night is featuring the first international biography of Sonia Gandhi, written by a journalist and a very good author called Rani Singh. So we're launching the festival by launching her book. Following that will be 2 days, the 8th and 9th of October. We have a packed 2 days, roughly about 20 events happening over 2 days at the Rich Mix Arts Centre in Shoreditch. And that's going to be a very exciting 2 days, and we expect lots and lots of people to be there. We're then doing events right throughout the week at a lot of different venues, including the Commonwealth Club, the National Maritime Museum, the India Media Centre at the University of Westminster, London Review Bookshop, so many great venues. We're very proud that through our festival we're going to be launching Mohammed Hanif's new book, very much awaited book, after he won the Commonwealth Prize for his first book. Sir Christopher Ondaatje will be launching his latest book at the British Library with an event in our festival. And the festival will culminate in a very grand event. Our title sponsors are DSC Limited, an infrastructure company mainly based in India. One of their other literary endeavours is that they have set up a new prize, the DSC Prize for South Asian Literature, where the winning author gets $50,000. So it's a very prestigious prize, it's a very exciting prize, and we're very, very proud to be associated with this prize. The long list of books, there were 16 titles, was announced just a little while ago, last week, in India and in London. And the short list of 5 or 6 books will be announced in a gala reception at the Shakespeare's Globe, and that'll be the end event of our festival. So it's going to be a very nice way of celebrating literature, of having all our authors there and announcing the shortlist for this prize, and the winner will be announced in January at the DSC Jaipur Literature Festival.
What emphasis is the Literature Festival giving to literature for children in particular?
This is a very interesting question, a very interesting field, because actually there is a real shortage of good available material for children that is of South Asian interest, South Asian content. There was a spurt in the 80s where a lot of people were writing books of South Asian tales, Indian tales, whether they were religious tales or mythological tales or folk tales, and publishers were publishing them. But those books are now out of print. They've been out of print for many, many years. They've not been reprinted. And currently, publishers are not really uh, uh, publishing these kind of books or commissioning these kind of books. Perhaps they feel there's not a big enough market, or perhaps it's just the times are so bad that they can't take that risk. So it's very difficult. It was very difficult for us to sort of find good authors or good illustrators or good storytellers who can do children's events. However, we are putting together a nice, during opening weekend, we've got events on both days, Saturday and Sunday, for children, with storytellers like Jamila Gavin, who's one of the big names in the UK, and we're very proud to have her in our
What is happening outside of London? Tell us about that.
Sure. One of our big highlights in the festival is that we are especially commissioning a new musical poetry piece by the British young maestro Shomik Datta, who is such a great sarod player, great musician, and also a great person. Very, very creative. And he's put together a new piece called Borderland, which is inspired by and based on the poetry of Rabindranath Tagore. This year is a big year for Tagore, 150 years. And there's been lots of events. So this is something that he's created. It's very unique. It's very special. And we are presenting this at the opening weekend in Shoreditch in London. But then we're also taking this to Portsmouth and also to Leicester. So there are two events we're doing outside of London there. Another big focus of our festival is actually encouraging translation work. There's so much amazing literature that comes out of India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, the surrounding areas. It's in other languages, and it doesn't get translated into English, so it's not accessible by more people. And there is a real shortage of good translators, and these translators are the sort of gatekeepers. They're the ones who can really select the good works in Bengali, in Hindi, in Urdu, in Gujarati, in Tamil, in Malayalam, and they're the ones who can translate it into English and then present it to the Western world, shall we say. So they play such an important role. So we're doing an event in London and also in Norwich. We're very lucky to get a translator from India called Arunav Sinha, who's won many awards and he's an acclaimed translator. And he's coming especially from India for our festival, and he'll be doing an event in London and then also in Norwich.
Well, good luck with all your efforts, and may you get all the results that you're looking for.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.